Well, today we're going to explore the RM1200X, which is part of the new RMX SHIFT series from Corsair. It's your typical marketing information on the back like you'd expect to find. The really nice looking yellow and black packaging that Corsair is famous for, but it's what's on the inside that really counts, right? So let's open this bad boy up and see what's in the box. The cellophane off of here. There we go. It's going to be interesting. I'm really excited about seeing how this meshes with my Corsair 5000D airflow case. Oh wow, that's a pretty hefty AC cable. It's quite a chunk of cables there. Looks like what, 9 nylon zip ties and screws. The expected safety and compliance information that our governments want to make sure that we have to keep us safe. And then the part we're all excited about, the power supply itself. So let's get it out of the plastic and see what she looks like. Let's see what this is. Alright, that's telling us that the fan doesn't run in low power mode so that we don't assume the fan is malfunctioning, so that's probably important to know. We'll talk more about that later, I guess. Now the power supply itself, really sharp looking. Now on the back we have a really nice presentation of the Corsair logo, an on and off switch, specification label on the top of the power supply, and then a white fan on the bottom. Nice looking branding on the side. But the really interesting part, instead of cables coming out the end like normal, they're coming out the side, and that's what I'm looking forward to exploring. That's the real news with the SHIFT series, is the side exit cables. So these also have a smaller Type 5 connector, as Corsair called it, which is interesting. We'll see how that works. So it's 7 inches long, or well, what, 180 millimeters. So I think that might be just a little bit larger than my 850 watt power supply that's in there now. We'll have a look in a minute. Oops, they sent me a European cable. That's not going to do me much good here in Arizona, but hey, if you're in Europe, it's a pretty big cable. So while it looks like we have enough PCI Express cables to do 3 8-pin connectors on 2 GPUs, so that's great. Shouldn't run out of cables now that SLI is dead. So we have our 24-pin and our 12-volt high power cable. And again, really chunky, thick, heavy-duty cable will work well for someone in Europe. Anyway, let's look at what we got here. We got SATA cables and Molex. Interesting. I'm excited to see how these flat cables work out. I'm used to having round cables that are sleeved and or ketchup and mustard if you get a really cheap power supply, but it'll be interesting. Now this 12-volt high power cable seems really flexible, which is important. I have another one that's not very flexible and it's kind of a pain to work with. So it looks like 26 inches long. Yeah, so that should be more than long enough to reach from wherever you have the power supply installed and wherever your GPU is located. I can't imagine it needing to be longer than 26 inches, so there'll be plenty there. You get 2 EPS cables for CPU power. These are not quite as flexible as the 12 volt high power cable. Let's see how long they are. Yep, also 26 inches long. So again, that should be long enough to reach unless you have an abnormally tall case or a weird configuration. You'll have plenty of length on that to reach from the power supply to your motherboard. I'm assuming that the second one is exactly the same. Wouldn't expect any different, but let's just get this silly twist tie off of here. We'll confirm that. That's straightened out. Yep, exactly the same length, so 26 inches there. And what do you want to bet that the 24 pin is also 26 inches? That would be my guess. But here in a minute, I'm going to go get myself something to drink and some tools, and then drag my 5000D airflow out of my office to the dining room table here so that we can swap this out and check out the cable management. I'm excited about that. So yeah, it looks like it's 26 inches long as well. Sure enough. So yeah, flat cables, that's really interesting. They're all stuck together, which, unless you want some really fancy sleeved cables with combs, I really like that idea. You don't have to worry about the individual cables getting all ratty looking, that kind of thing. So Molex, looks like 3 Molex connectors there. SATA, SATA, SATA. Looks like each one of those has 4 connections on it. Another Molex, so we got 6 Molex, and I believe 16 SATA. So yeah, 4 on each cable. Okay, so let me go grab my desktop and tools, and I'll be right back. Alright, so I've got my refreshments and my tools, and man, look at this chunkin' bunch of cables. What a mess, right? They used to come out the coming straight out the side. All the extras took up the basement. So yeah, it is a little bit longer if you don't count the cables, but with the cables out of the way, I'll have some more room in the basement that I didn't have before. So I'm really liking this already. I think this is a really intelligent design. There's plenty of room on the side for the cables to exit. I have room in the basement where I can put my caddy. So yeah, this turned out great. The flat cables were really easy for cable management. I have my drive caddy in the bottom that came with the case, which is really great because now I can access the back of my motherboard. I don't have to use this drive tray that came with it. So looking really good. Really happy with how that turned out. And then on the front side, the flat cables are also really nice for the video card, the 12 pin, and the EPS cables. Now, I really like that all the cables are attached to one another in a flat configuration. It makes it really easy. Now, I tried this in my other case, just to be aware. If you don't have a lot of side clearance, it's not going to work out very good for you. The glass presses tightly against it, so be aware of that depending on the type of case you have. So the dimensions are pretty much standard ATX. This is ATX 3.0, of course, but pretty much standard dimensions that you'll find. These are all 80 plus gold. They have the microfit Type 5 connectors on them. They come with 100% Japanese electrolytic capacitors rated for 105 degrees Celsius. The 0 RPM fan mode, if that's important to you. Under low power, the fan doesn't run. And more details on all the cables that we just looked at. So anyway, that wraps up this short video. Please join me back in the review to read more details as we explore this power supply. Take care.